I've been working in the neurodiversity space for over 2 decades. I've served as an advocate, as a researcher. I'm also a parent. I have lived experience. So this has been really, the focus of my life and my passion. As a child, knew I was hyperlexic, so I was reading fluently before I was 3. Most of my childhood I did excel at school and I was identified as being gifted, but I always kind of knew that that wasn't the full story. And I've come to understand that I, fall into what we'd call ADHD, which is both ADHD and autism. At community college, I started to just find my voice and my path, and sometimes it's hard to explain. You get pulled in certain directions, but the mission of making the world a more inclusive place for people who think and learn differently, I've always gotten pulled back. That was just always like part of my core, part of me, part of who I am, part of what I always felt I was meant to do, and I knew that. I knew that at 17. I didn't know that at 16, but I knew that at 17.
The work I do, it's all about, not just, hey, let's check the box of, okay, you've got, X number of people, neurodivergent people that work for you, but we're a values-driven organization. This is what we value, and we're not threatened by people that may have a different opinion.
I ended up transferring to University of Chicago, and then becoming the first community college graduate to become a Rhodes Scholar, but I do credit my community college experience. That's why I ended up, then running, as an elected official for a trustee role at the same community college that I had gotten that start, and invested myself heavily in that kind of volunteer work, right, with community colleges, is because I could see how transformative they are. This has also been the focus of my career, my training. I did my PhD at Oxford, bachelor's and master's degree at University of Chicago. All my research and professional work has also been very focused on this mission, and have been working with organizations and companies from startups to Fortune 500 companies, helping them develop an organizational culture that is what I would call authentically neuro-inclusive. I've worked with the Lego Foundation, helped them launch their $20 million Play for All accelerator focused on neurodiversity. The goal was really just to, try to support global change makers that are innovating. And, there was more of a focus on children and families and schools, developing products and innovations that would help, teachers be able to more, personalize their approach, in the schools and families. But that program, there was a number of startups, but we also funded some later stage companies, like Kahoot is an example. They're a publicly traded company out of Norway, and they, expanded their offerings and were in some cases rethinking how they were doing things to make sure their platform was neuro-inclusive, and that there was some optionality there to really contribute to this community.
We've been doing a lot more consultation work, a lot more tactical, a lot more strategic.
So I'm a co-founder of the Autism Angels group. So one of our incubator partners is Innovation to Page. We've been seeing some great success with the entrepreneurs that have been selected for the program. So that program's been a partnership where there's support for neurodivergent founders. It could be an AI company, it could be a data solutions company. We're open to any vertical, but we want to fund companies that either are founded or co-founded by neurodivergent people, or at least a company that is including a neurodivergent person in a key leadership role. So I am the mom of triplets. So I have 2 identical girls and a boy. They know mommy, released a book. They came to the bookstore. They each wanted to buy their own copy, right? So they start asking questions. Well, what's neurodiversity? And trying to explain that, right? I actually started telling them stories about divergent bees. Think of these 5 bees in this beehive, and there's 4 that are perfectly performing this waggle dance, that's expected. But there's this one that like is not, you know, not doing the waggle dance, and is at first seen as different, you know, but then it turns out actually, you know, that one is actually a huge asset to the whole hive community, is going off in seemingly different directions, but is finding and discovering new sources of pollen that benefit the whole hive community. And so it's okay to be different. It actually, you know, if we think about this differently, it benefits the whole community. We should be thinking about this from more of a community level and an organizational level where we don't all have to be the same, and we all can contribute different things, and that's really important.